Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host
Chip. What's up,
Chip.
everybody?
There he is. What's up, Chip? Good to have you back on. Hope your dad is feeling well.
He's doing better.
Awesome. So, man, today we got a ton of stuff to cover. As always, the space is moving regardless of the direction the day-to-day goes, because markets change day-to-day, week-to-week. But when you look at it over the long term, you see steady, consistent, upward trajectory. We want to keep that focus, stay away from the hype, stay away from the FUD. But we're going to dig right into this thing, Chip. Ready to go?
Not yet. Okay, I'm ready now.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. So check this out, Chip. On the video the other night, Peter Willis. If Peter's out there listening, he might be on live, he might be listening in the playback, but he posed 3 critical questions. I want to see if I can pull these up real quick. Let's see what we can do about pulling this up, and I just want to zoom in on these 3 critical questions. So, number 1, these are 3 basic questions to test the crypto assets you own. Now, one of the areas that we really focus in on when you're looking at digital asset and you're investing is to invest in solid projects. All right, there's, Chip, as we've talked about, there's a lot of projects out there that are truly just noise. There's some projects that are real solutions to real problems, and others that are solutions that'll keep looking for problems that might fade away. But check this out. So 3 basic questions. Number 1, does its true value rely on buyers or users? What are your thoughts?
I don't care, Jeff. As long as it makes me a lot of money, I'm pretty cool with almost anything.
Number 2, how is its tech unique? Right? I like that. And number 3, how is it more efficient than others? So if you look down that list and you take out the hype, take out the FUD, take out all of the noise, you start sorting through, and that's where you kind of separate between the long-term stability versus, short-term, kind of fast money, quick gains that have massive swings, ups and downs, and you can end up getting caught up in a scam. But I like how Peter Willis kind of goes through that process, in identifying where you're investing. But at the end of the day, he said it's your money invested, it's your risk, so you decide what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own set of rules when they invest. I usually tend to invest in things that have cute little cuddly characters, like a bear, or Riddlers, or like a Yeti or something like that. That's the whole idea behind Yeti coin. I mean, yeah, you want sound principles. There's no doubt you want sound principles behind anything, which makes sense. But, look, I know plenty of people. If you're going to talk about pure investing, I know plenty of people personally who have ridden the meme coin or whatever the new emerging coin was, dumped a bunch of money when it had like 7 or 8 or 9 zeros in it, moved a few zeros and made $50, $100, $150,000. And then they took that money and they put it into sound projects. So it's like there are different strategies. Now, if you're somebody who thinks that project is going to have legs and is going to go on forever, that's fine. There's people out there for that. But there's a number of people that I know and talk to pretty regularly that have amassed a major fortune with the good crypto projects that we are all familiar with by just doing that strategy. Finding a project that has 9 or 10 zeros, moving a couple decimal, a couple zeros closer to that decimal point, and then taking that and putting it into an XRP or an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or Cardano, or Polkadot or something like that, and then did an amazing investment. So, everyone has different strategies. Now, I personally have not done that. That's not my strategy, but I can see how it's been successful for others. And then there's others we know as the day traders. Some people, I usually buy and I just hold it, never sell it. Just never sell it. Because you get burned a couple of times on that, Jeff. You know, you kind of learn your lesson on it. Like you and I have talked about this extensively, where even recent times, you know, we're like, what were we thinking? It happens. It happens. So
it's like GE stock.
yeah, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's like, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that, you know, those things happen. And it's just like, hey, but I think if anything, if you make a little bit of money, you should never second guess yourself. As long as you're good, because everyone's like, oh, I sold too soon. Did you 2x, 3x, 5x your money? You know, did you? I absolutely don't get what the panic selling is about, right? So I can't tell you how many people have been reaching out to me, right? Old friends and stuff. I get a message from a buddy of mine. If he's watching right now, he'll know who he is. And he's like, Chip, what's going on? He goes, what's happening with the market? What's the deal? What's going on? I'm getting nervous. I'm like, dude, why would you be getting nervous? Everything's on sale. I go, why? When the market's rising and there's little room to make any gains, everyone's like, I can't wait to get in. They're getting in. When everything goes on sale, people are like, I don't know, man, I'm not touching. I don't know what to do, you know? So, I mean, everybody has their own, like you said, Jeff, everybody has their own risk tolerance. Everybody has what they're comfortable with, and that's okay. But I tend to, you know, if you've been around it a little bit, because I know all of those Dogecoin investors, the newbies that came in, a lot of them got wrecked and they just don't understand. They're not into fundamentals yet. They haven't discovered the whole idea of a fundamentals of a project. And going back to those 3 questions, they may not have ever even pondered those 3 questions, may never have crossed their mind. They're just riding the wave. Would you think, would you agree, Jeff? I mean, they're just kind of like jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's problematic mainly because, you know, a lot of the YouTube channels are geared up, and I'm not just going to single out YouTube channels, but media.
Good. Oh, God, thanks, man. I thought you were just going to single out YouTube channels.
every time we post a video, I cringe. No, you know, you look at the mainstream media, and mainstream will gather and gravitate towards hype, whether it's hype up or down, pro, con, positive, negative, doesn't matter. They gravitate towards the hype. And that's where yesterday we're talking a lot about how hype is going to kind of propel a market upwards, because as you know, Bitcoin, and there's so much focus on Bitcoin, but the media gets behind it when it's at a high point, not when it's in the whole ramp up stage, all that time it took and all the little in-betweens, but when it hit 40,000, 50 and 60, all of a sudden, all the news talking about 60,000. And then they're just waiting. They're just waiting like vultures, waiting for the dip on the other side so they can say, look, it dropped 50% and now it's sitting at 30,000 or 40,000, you know, and they're all fired up about that drop on the other side. But the problem is that people follow the hype because it's emotional, you know, and it's exciting. And the biggest concern is always that FOMO, the fear of missing out. What does that group know that I don't know? You know, why is everyone buying into it? Why is there so much media focus and attention? Why is everyone talking about Dogecoin? You know, oh, Doge is high at this point, but maybe I should still get it because Elon Musk is talking about Doge and he keeps talking about Doge, so I'm going to get in it. And then all of a sudden, the next day, it's over the cliff and crashing. And then everyone's talking negatively. Oh, I got to sell. I got to get out of it. You know, maybe now everyone's talking negatively. They know something I don't. Maybe there's no end in sight to where it's going to drop. And that's the swing. That's the danger, you know, is to follow that emotional wave, you know, and it's difficult. You know, it's definitely difficult. You got to avoid it because you're not into day selling. You know, it's not, you don't want the day selling. You know?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you're right. It's like if you start understanding how the news cycles and how there's patterns involved, and you're right, that's a really good point you're bringing up, because when everything's on the positive, it's like Bitcoin, and look at this thing, and the SEC, and right. But as soon as it takes, oh boy, we told you. What did we tell you? You know. And meanwhile, you know, the stocks have taken their licks too. I wanted to put this up. This is something. This is right on what we're talking about. Here's CZ. Xiaopeng Zhang from Binance, CEO, founder of Binance, says, not the first time, and it will not be the last time And check this out. So here's Bitcoin's historical corrections. Now, what I want people to think about here is, yeah, Jeff and I are looking at Bitcoin. Yeah, we talk about Bitcoin, but there's a reason. Bitcoin is kind of synonymous, really. It's the brand name of cryptocurrency, right?
Yep.
People go, oh, so are you into that? What about that Bitcoin, Jeff? You know, it's like they
that Bitcoin thing still
Still
doing that Bitcoin.
Still doing that Bitcoin? How's that working for you? I heard it took a real nasty tumble there, Chip. How about that, Jeff? Everything good? But like, look at this. Despite being one of the world's best performing assets, Bitcoin has suffered plenty of massive price drops. From government bans to hack-induced crashes, here's how the corrections compare. And so they go back to January 12th of 27th of 2012. High was $7, the lowest $4, right? Then 16, this is later in 2012 in August, it's high as 16, the lowest 7. Got 49 in 2013 and 33 and so on and so forth. But if we start getting further over here, I mean, think about this. September of 2017, the high didn't even hit 5,000 and the low was right around 3,000. Now, if we look at the high hitting almost 65,000, you know, just earlier this month, and then dumping down to 31,000. But here's the deal. If you bought it about a year ago, you paid $5,000 for Bitcoin, and you're at 31, I mean, you don't have to be a mathematician to know that you've 5x your money and you're still riding pretty high. Now, are you riding the highs? No, but a lot of times people forget that. Now, if you bought in the $65,000 range, why would you dump it? Why in God's green earth would
you're going to hang in? You're going to dump it at 50% loss?
Right. And at that point you say like, okay, you know, but again, this goes back to what we talk a lot about, you know, invest what you're okay with losing. And people go like, well, I'm not okay with losing anything and I'm not trying to understand. But the point of it is that if you're okay with losing it, why would you be okay with selling it at a loss? You know, it's like you sell it at a loss. And this is where the diamond hands come into play, right? Because you want to see it for what it's worth. And that's where I think that a lot of times, I think too many people are just missing it all around. I mean, but
hey, I got to pull this up. This is kind of on point. Let me add this to the stream right now. You know, we talk about XRP always being the best stable coin known to man. I find this interesting.
Lucky
XRP, $1.01. USDC, $1.01. Binance USD, $1.01. How do you like that? I like that. That's here's another one. DAI, another one, $1.01. All the stable coins are $1.01.
Yeah, man, you need an arbitrage bot right there. So you could sell it at 99 cents, get that little 3% swing there.
Except for Tether. Tether's at $1, but all those others at $1.01, including the XRP right there.
Jeff, how much do you trust Tether though? I mean, do you really trust what it's backed with? Do you really think that's going to go for the long haul? Do you really think that's going to make it down the stretch? I have my doubts about it, man. It's just, you know, when somebody goes so hard to try to prove that, well, it's backed by this, and look, we've had independent auditors. I don't know, man. I still have my doubts about it. I wouldn't want to. I don't know about that stable coin, man.
I think they're still waiting. I thought they didn't allow the third parties in.
Well, supposedly they did. I mean, you know, but you know, Jeff, a couple weeks ago, people that watch the show a lot, you know Jeff and I joke around. It's never, we'll razz some people, but there's a guy named Ray Dalio, who's a billionaire. Do we call him Dilly Dalio, Ray Dalio? And look at Dilly Dalio. Look, he joined the rest of the humans on Earth. Billionaire Ray Dalio, hell froze over, and he buys Bitcoin. And
I don't believe it. Is this a fake story?
And look, this is the best part right here. No, he's well, Consensus is going on right now. There's a lot of stuff from Consensus. From Bitcoin basher to Bitcoin owner, Ray Dalio, the latest to join the ranks of the U-turners. The most famous for whom probably was the French finance minister, Bruno Le Maire. So yeah, these people, all the naysayers, you know, Jamie Dimon, all these people naysaying it. Meanwhile, they're stacking up on the bags. He says, and this is the best of all, right? He went on, how many interviews did we play in here? And he was hammering Bitcoin. Just months ago, he said the government will ban Bitcoin. This January, he said, well, I don't really know much about Bitcoin. So his asset management firm, Bridgewater Associates, which is super famous, they started studying it. Do you really think, Jeff, you buying that they just started studying it in January? They just started studying it in January.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think
Right?
it's a nicely contrived story.
Yeah,
that
this
he
is
kind of,
exactly right. It's a story, Jeff. It's like a little story time. Here's storybook time. And then like they have about 100 billion in assets under management with their analysis, concluding that Bitcoin is like an option on a potential storehold of wealth. Oh my gosh, how did they come across that, Jeff? At Bridgewater Associates, they were figuring it out. He said it wasn't clear, however, where their analysis was going. Really? I mean, are we to assume that an organization like Bridgewater wasn't quite sure where it was going to go? They didn't know how it was going to lead. Their own funds are concerned, but a new hint of direction has arrived with Dalio saying an interview to Consensus. Dilly Dalio. He says, "I have some Bitcoin."
awesome.
It's still to be aired. Unclear to how much he has or how much he bought.
Doesn't matter. It's a matter that he bought it.
Yeah, but right. And when did he buy it? At a time when supposedly Rome was burning, right? The whole crypto world's burning on fire. And this is a great sign, guys. I mean, we goof about it, but when you got a naysayer like Ray Dalio diving into Bitcoin when it just crashed 50%, this is a tremendous buying signal, right? That means that some of the hardest naysayers, Jeff, if you ever know people, the former smokers, they're like the worst human beings on earth. Like some people don't like smoking, but the ex-smokers are like the worst ones of all. They're like, oh, that smoke, I can't take it. Meanwhile, they had no problem smoking in their cars with like a cloud of smoke in there, going into bars and, but they sometimes become like the worst ones. So I just thought this is great. I really thought a story like this is very significant. Let's put this up there. XRP, Speedboat. Thank you for that.
Nice. Appreciate that. Relax and hodl. Oh, that's why our Canadian friends weren't around. It's Canada Day. I was wondering, trying to reach some people that we work with up in Canada. Couldn't get through to him. And I was talking to somebody earlier. He said, "Did you speak to him today?" I said, "No." And I said, "I don't know. We're trying to figure out what today was." I said, "I don't know. Maybe today's their Memorial Day, because we have Memorial Day coming up." And look at that. It's Happy Canada. I was just joking. And it really is. Happy Canada Day.
Canada. Well, happy Canada Day to all our Canadian friends.
Happy Canada Day to all of our Canadian followers.
I hope you had a great day. I hope you enjoy yourself and everything's all good. And
So
but Jeff, that's great, man. I love that Dalio story.
Man, I love that Dalio story. And I'll tell you what. So everyone's getting, concerned. So yesterday I came on and people were so worried about the pullback, and trying to figure out if you have this massive pullback, Chip, people, with the way the media is twisting the narrative, you need some positive news. Right. And then I look at David Rubenstein from, Carlisle and check out what he had to say. Hang on. Wait a minute.
You do full screen on that?
What's that?
Can you do full screen on that?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Stick it on full screen.
Share it with audio this time.
Yeah, we got so much great stuff in the keep tonight, man.
All right, you ready? Who's ready for this? Who's
ready? Who's ready for this? Y'all ready for this?
Many of these day-to-day.
Check out. Listen to how the media, the reporter immediately goes to the negative. Watch this.
David, I know you're a long-term investor and not somebody who looks at many of these day-to-day moves, but yesterday was pretty weird, especially when you looked at cryptocurrency, a decline of 46% for Ethereum. I mean, you feel moves like that and you wonder how much froth has built up in the markets. You wonder how much momentum has been driving things. And what would you take away? Even as a long-term investor, you have to pay attention to some of these moves.
Well, remember, crypto has.
Oh, yeah. So, Chip, you see that? She's already trying to spin it in a way like, look how bad it is. Like, you're a long-term investor, but you got to admit it. Even though you're a long-term investor,
Jeff,
you have to admit there's something wrong here.
Can I make a prediction? She got wrecked on Dogecoin. She didn't know what the hell she was doing. She got into Doge. She got wrecked.
I think the problem is she got into Shiba.
Shiba Inu. She bought some Elon.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Hang on.
Crypto has come from nowhere to be a force in the market. It's in effect a gold substitute for some. And I have invested in not cryptocurrencies myself, but in things that I would say, facilitate the trading of it in various companies that are helping to trade or make it easier for people to be involved with cryptocurrency. And I did that in part because I think it's here to stay. Cryptocurrency is not going away, just like gold is not going away. So yes, it had its ups and downs, and yesterday was not a good day for it. But that's true of anything that is relatively new. And I don't think you're going to see anything like crypto going away and disappearing. It's here, and it's here because people in the market want something other than just the traditional currencies that we've had. And whether that's right or wrong, it's clearly something that the market wants. So yes, if you go into cryptocurrencies, you should expect big ups and downs and big fluctuations. And if you're not prepared for that, don't go into cryptocurrency.
I like that. He said some really important things there. You know, one, his investment is in the foundation. He's in the foundational side of things because he's investing in the companies that actually move crypto. He's in basically a Coinbase, maybe an Uphold, maybe a Gemini, wherever it is, and he's always buying big holds in those companies. And he's investing in those companies not because he expects them to go down, but he expects them to continue to grow and keep going. And then, you know, he finalized that by saying that, you know, the market's going up and down because it's still relatively new, but it's going up and down. And if you can't stand the heat, basically get out of the fire. Maybe investing in cryptocurrency isn't your thing, and don't do it. You know, but I like how he said it's here to stay. You know, regardless of what these reporters, they're looking for that negative hint. Like, come on, even you got to give us some negativity here.
They try to plant it there, but look at Mel G called it. She's just a CGI negative Nancy, and I think I can't agree more. It's like my buddy. So he doesn't call me. He sends me like these little voice, messages on one of these apps, right? So he sends me like a minute. I sent him a minute one back, and he's like, "Well, come on, Chip. I mean, they're going to tax it. I mean, they're coming after it hard. The governments are going to ban it, aren't they?" I'm like, so you can see this FUD. You can see that it does affect people, and it's not his fault. I mean, they're relentless in the press, relentless on TV. Just the way, Jeff, you were talking about how she set that up. I mean, it's just not good, right? I mean, it's kind of icky, right? It feels kind of weird. It feels like, ew, like it's all for the. I mean, she's like. And so so my buddy's personally affected by this. He's like, and they're going to ban it, right? And what about the lawsuit? Like, it's going to go down, I mean, what happens? They're trying to crush it. And what are they going to do? I said, look, the worst thing that happens is a fine. The worst thing that happens is that company leaves the United States. And we still don't have any kind of clarity. And by the way, there was some good stuff on Capitol Hill today too, that testimony wise, but that's what happens. That's the bad thing. But I go, XRP is going to be around. It doesn't need the U.S. to yes, it's a positive and a plus. But guess what? They go to Singapore, they go to Dubai. They get the hell out of Dodge. And when they get the hell out, they go find a place that's going to be kind and say, "Hey, come on in." And they give them a big hug, and says, "Look, here's how it works. This is the rules. Just follow them." They go, "Okay, cool, we're good." And then, every major country, every continent has a set of rules established, except for the U.S. So if the U.S. wants to be a giant loser, they can be. I mean, they can go it alone. But I'm like, what's happened with this SEC case? It's gotten so far out of whack. It becomes about, it's become about almost everything except for the one thing that the SEC case is about was, did Ripple sell an unregistered security, and can they prove that when they sold it, they want to know what the lawyers thought. Did the lawyers know that you sold it? What if they advised you to do it? Well, what if they did it? And what if they did? And so what kind of bearing does that have? So this whole thing is kind of silly. And he's like, well, I mean, the SEC, they could just destroy them, right? I'm like, no one. I don't think anybody has any sort of doubts about it, XRP being a non-security now. But go ahead and prove it in the court of law. Let's see if it ticks all four prongs of the Howey test. I mean, that's why we need the Ripple test. That's why the Ripple test is imperative, man. We need the Ripple test.
We definitely need it. We need it. And I do want to go over, there was an article in Finance, was that Finance Feds and or Feds, Finance Feds. And the title of it's SEC v. Ripple could end with summary judgment on fair notice. No one could be sued after that. There's some statements that Jeremy Hogan made. I want to get into that in just a little bit, because I think it'd be interesting to really look at what the potential outcome is if it just ends and there's no regulation, there's no clarity, there's no nothing. But before we get into that, I just want to go through this one last video. Remember Mighty Ducks, and you had Brock Pierce. He's done a lot in the crypto space. He came out and had some statements as well that I thought, were kind of on point here. And by the way, the Michael Saylor video that I pulled up is no longer available. They pulled it down for some reason.
Well, I wonder why, Jeff.
Yep. It was available earlier. Hang on. Here we go.
Currency rebounding this morning a bit, climbing back above $40,000 per coin. It follows a roller coaster ride this week, plummeting as much as 30% yesterday after China intensified its crypto crackdown, a move that could in fact bolster China's own digital currency, the digital Yuan, which they are working on.
Notice how she doesn't really understand the terminology. So we see the roller coaster. There's a bit of a crackdown in China on Bitcoin, and their own digital currency, so they want to bolster that. What do you think, before we hear kind of what his outcome is, what he thinks is a net positive with all this? What are your thoughts on that? China's crackdown right now with Bitcoin, more to do with making sure that their people don't have a decentralized framework to make money. Are they trying to disrupt the crypto market at large, or are they trying to make way for the digital yuan?
Yeah, it's kind of I think it's more propaganda than anything else. It's like they've been banning crypto and Bitcoin there for like the last 5+ years. It's like every once in a while, like every month or so, a month and a half, we get this big flare up, like they banned it. And everybody does like a panic thing. And I also think there's some manipulation of the market. And you could kind of go to who you might blame in this whole thing, but you got to go to when they supposedly pulled out a lot of the miners, and then out of China, and then you had a lot of other things going on with some other people not going to be catering to Chinese nationals, right? It all seems kind of petty at this point. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, that's the narrative. Yeah. Okay, but is it really going to stop anybody? Are they going to go ahead and prosecute people in the digital yuan? I'll be honest with you, Jeff. It's almost like cry wolf. It's like, okay, the first time, the second time, it's like I'm just not buying it anymore. I'm not buying it, right? And I think you're right. It's more about when they ban it, they don't want their citizens. They don't want them having this store of wealth or something outside of the system. They want them to participate in the system. And if they're outside the system, you can't really keep your thumb on them. You know what I mean? You can't sort of like just jab them and keep them down. So it's maybe more about that. I mean, what do you think about that? Is it more about the fact that they're trying to kind of kowtow and get their citizens away from it?
What I think is interesting. So the very same week that all this comes out, the same week that China is cracking down on Bitcoin miners in their countries, they've already cracked down on people holding digital assets, multiple times over in China, which chased away some of the major exchanges to flee to Singapore and elsewhere. But what's crazy is that the top players in the Bitcoin mining space, meaning those that manufacture the miners, the computers, are all based in China, every single one of them. Now, here, China is, this major crackdown. The market kind of reacted. There's all this turmoil in the marketplace. This kind of fell, kind of hit. I think there was more focus on what Elon Musk was saying and doing on Saturday Night Live versus what China was doing and cracking down on Bitcoin. I think probably the majority of the population has no idea that even happened. They definitely don't understand or know that most of the miners are built over in China. But check out this response. So, here we are. You could have all this. There could be tons of negative. You could look at it, in different ways. And then here's his response.
Joining me right now is Bitcoin Foundation Chairman Brock Pierce. Brock, it's great to have you today. Thanks so much for being here. I guess I want to get your take first on China's crackdown, Elon Musk's influence on cryptocurrency. I know that the CCP has been working on undermining the US dollar with its own digital yuan. What do you make of China's impact on the cryptocurrency market?
Well, I think it's actually a very good thing for the United States. China historically has had a significant advantage in the areas of cryptocurrency, not just with their Chinese digital yuan as a potential tool to challenge the US dollar's reserve status, but from a Bitcoin mining perspective, and the Chinese people being the beneficiaries of this incredible wealth transfer.
All right. He's not super exciting, when he's talking, but you get the gist, right? I mean, here you are, his point with it is it's a net positive. Let China pull back and stop the mining, because that means that people are going to wake up and opportunities are going to pop up all over the place. One of the things that you posted in the Keep yesterday was focusing in on how can you bring mining and make it less costly to mine and even more energy efficient here in the US. And part of that was partnering with these oil companies and using the natural gas runoff and using that and bringing out miners on site to generate and mine Bitcoin right there, at the refineries. And so that's big. That's big news, and that's how private market thinks. Government says, let's shut it down, let's penalize, let's tax, let's try to take away from the doers. And then private markets like, how can we make it better? How do we make it more efficient? How can we make it so you can make more money and think a little outside the box? And you can see the contrast. China shut it down, and then you have the private industry trying to figure out how to open it up. So there you go.
That was my favorite story, probably in the longest time, probably this year in 2020. I was super excited to talk about it. Unfortunately, I had to take my dad to the emergency room, and I had to stay with him, and there's a lot of stuff going on yesterday, but that was my favorite story. Why? Because it's exactly what happens. Everyone starts crying and belly aching about this and that, but you know what always gets it? Human innovation. The innovators, not to matter where they come from, the innovators on planet Earth go, I don't give a rat's behind what your belly aching's about. I don't care. And they go like, we'll take it to the fields. They're burning this stuff off. It's useless. We are going to use that power. That's probably one of the most important stories of this year, without a doubt. And it kind of largely got overlooked. It's like, wait a minute. When you're taking the oil, you're taking energy that you have to use that you're burning, and it's not used. Now you're going over there and you're saying, let's mine some Bitcoin. I was like, that's one of the most tremendous stories that I've heard in some time. I was super excited to talk about it, just because let the innovators innovate, give them a little bit of framework, set them free, and then watch the innovation happen. And that's how we got the internet back on the 90s.
That is true.
That's a good one. Yeah, so Speedboat, thank you for that. He says, without volatility in the market, watching Chip and Jeff would be like watching a boring show about investing in just precious metal. Yeah, that damn right it would be boring as hell. And when it's up, so
what would be the point?
So Jeff, Consensus 2021 is happening. It's happening virtually. It's put on by CoinDesk, and I wanted to play this clip right here. There's two clips from Cynthia Loomis, obviously a new Wyoming senator who really gets the whole sort of cryptocurrency thing. I'll do a little setup on this video here.
Have already.
Hang on a second. Let me get up here.
Who are these actors?
This is Cynthia, Wyoming Senator Cynthia Loomis. She was one of the first members of Congress to add laser eyes to her Twitter profile with the help of her younger staffers. So that's what they're going to talk about here.
You all have already done the hard work in coming up with these ideas that have the potential to create exciting new market opportunities. Ideas that will bring underserved populations into the financial system, reduce systemic risk, and strengthen our competitiveness on the global stage.
Listen to that, Jeff. That's just like textbook. It just rolls off her tongue. She owns it. She's not reading it. She's generating, and she's absolutely right. She says you by saying you, but all the people she's speaking to, the innovators. And she's talking about you need some clear guidance, right? So here we go. Here's Meltem Demirors here.
Now we need clear rules so we can responsibly turn your ideas into reality. It's our moment as government officials to create a framework that clearly enables responsible innovation rather than stifling it.
Right on. I mean, how brilliant is that, right? You have to make it so that it is absolutely, you don't want to stifle it. And there's one more there's short clip here that I wanted to play from her, from Cynthia Loomis as well. And she's just she's a powerhouse, man. She really is something amazing. And it's funny because, you know, here she is, a brand new senator, but
give a shout out. You were one of the first members of Congress to add laser eyes to your photo. So
I didn't even know what that was, but once my much younger staff guided me through it, we decided, yeah, this would be a fun thing to do.
Well, you were a trendsetter, that's for sure. So that was just wonderful to see.
for a second there, I thought that she was doing her best Drew Barrymore impression there. So she sounded a lot like Drew Barrymore. And but she's, you know, look, she's not making any bones about it. She's not like, oh yeah, laser eyes, man, I'm totally down. And she's like, you know, I didn't know what it was. But what did she do? She listened to her younger staffers. Now that's a shout out, and that's calling everybody out there in Congress. You know, the funny thing about it is, wasn't Warren Davidson telling us that a lot of the staff are really young? You know, because they say like
they're in their 20s typically, and you know they run Washington. They run
Washington
around doing all the work.
Right, and this is like this. She listens to her staff, like, you know, and yeah, it was a fun thing to do. But they're the one. Hey, do you know what the laser? I don't know what that is, and that's the job of educating. You know, it's like that seems like that's not happening enough. So it seems like some people, some senators in Congress hire better staffers that can keep them kind of like up to date on what's cool, what's happening, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah. Hey, while you're at it, you want to look and see if you have £1 million.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second, Dowie. Hang on a
second.
Let me see if I can do some movement around. No, I don't. No.
You don't have it?
Not yet. I mean, yeah, 1,000 pounds.
We might whip it. Can we
that's
scrape
$1 million
it up?
pounds.
Is that like $1 million lira? Did I misread it? Is that like a million Egyptian lira? I think that's like $1. Hang on.
Yeah.
No, I can't do it. Sorry, Dowie. But appreciate the support. Appreciate the support. Hey, so Chip, so the summary judgment thing, man, finance vets, SEC Ripple could end with summary judgment on fair notice. No one sued after that. Now, all of this would happen. You just look at this quote. This is before even the close of discovery, and it's faster than I expected. It makes me think they might set the hearing on their defense before even hearing whether XRP is a security or not. And you start getting into this thing, everything seems a little bit backwards on it, you know, and you kind of drill down. And then I get to the point where Hogan, you know, they quoted Hogan here, and he said the SEC attorney let out that Ripple attorneys told him that Ripple intended to file for summary judgment on its fair notice, right? And then you get here, a Ripple victory at the hearing would, of course, end the case. Would XRP have clarity then? Yes and no. XRP's status would not, but no one would be sued after that by the SEC because there would be case precedent that no one had fair notice anyways. But I'm focused in on his statement. I said, okay, hey, all right, nobody gets sued. And if you're Ripple, maybe you care about that. But here's the critical part. Would there be clarity? Would you get clarity? Would there be some judgment on whether or not XRP is a security or not? And you wouldn't. The case would just end. And I mean, maybe for Ripple, it'd be good if they want to end it, but it's not good for the space at all. It just leaves us back in limbo. We're like in purgatory at that point. What do you think?
Well, Jeff, if we go back and review some of the shows we did right after December 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th, I believe, and I could be wrong, but we were the ones that called the fact that Ripple didn't settle because they would be back on the same boat of saying, oh yeah, okay, we'll pay a fine. Yet they could go after them the very next day and say, you should have known, you see? And then you incriminated yourself, you see? And this is when Garlinghouse came out and said, yeah, we attempted to settle with them. Well, what do you think Ripple wanted? Ripple wanted some clarity, right? They want to like, okay, so can we agree that XRP is not a security? No. Can we agree that, I mean, they go back, Ripple to meetings 2 years ago, meeting with Jay Clayton, right? David Schwartz was there. Brad Garlinghouse was there. They had meetings 2 years ago. If you look through someone was tweeting about it the other day, and this whole thing of like, let's end it. I've never been a proponent of ending it. I go the distance. I crush them like a grape. You go through it. You hammer them up. You got great attorneys. You go the distance with them, and you throat punch them as hard as you can, and you go to win. You play to win. You don't play to lose. Nobody plays to lose. It's like, oh, yeah, they could get a summary judgment. They don't want to be sued. It's like, so what? It's complete bull puppies. It's the most garbage thing out there. Sometimes I just go like, when I hear some of the stuff out there, I'm so like, what are you talking about, man? No, you take him to the mat. This is death match, man. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. That's how it works. You go in, you get out of that thing, you end victoriously, and maybe you hope Congress passes something along the way. So, yeah, that's exactly right. 2 hours of it's become so nitpicky. And you said this, and let's bring it back to what it is. Did they sell the security in 2013? And the whole Ripple case is like, well, how did we know? You didn't even know until what, 7 years later? And now what was that based on? No clear guidance, no clear rules. Nothing. I think without a doubt, Ripple has this in the bag. I've always said that it's a weak case from day one. And what is the impetus behind an SEC going after Ripple? It's like, if you're going to prosecute somebody, you want to know you got them. You ever watch those old crime dramas? They wait till something happens and they go, we got them. We got her. We got them, right? Why do they say that? Because they know they did that one thing that they got them on, and now they can prosecute them. Meanwhile, 9 years go by, and they're like, well, I don't know. I think we should just go after them. They sold the security unregistered.
Yeah, well, then that's the problem, is that the SEC, never once really addressed that fact, and I referenced it a little bit yesterday, and we've referenced it multiple times. Here you have when Ripple actually invested in MoneyGram, and they bought, shares in MoneyGram, and then they started utilizing ODL, and part of that whole, disclosure with the SEC was, hey, by the way, we're giving X amount of XRP to MoneyGram, and MoneyGram is probably going to sell it. And here's what's going to happen. And we know that how that unfolds with Ripple. The one thing that they've done very well at is they're very transparent throughout their entire process with everything that they're doing. And if there was no transparency, then you could say, hey, let's dig all the way back, or you wouldn't have to dig that far back. You'd start seeing, but that's the point. That's why the SEC has to go back, not even 2013. They want to go all the way to 2012. So let's go to 2012 when an attorney came out. Now, Chip, you and I talked about this. Bitcoin came into existence in 2010. It just started. They started marketing 2011. 2012, still nobody. There wasn't one attorney on the planet, not the SEC, no politicians. There was nobody that knew what was happening in the digital asset space.
Not a clue, Jeff. Not a clue.
So now an attorney, was in conversation and letter with them saying, you might want to look at this because this could potentially be interpreted as a security. We don't know. Right. And now the SEC wants that document, which was basically just a conversation. And, that's their client attorney privilege or attorney client privilege. Right. And they're trying to take that document a year before they're even making the claim. And like you said, 7-8 years go by, SEC says nothing. And now all of a sudden they come out 7-8 years later. Oh, you remember 7-8 years ago when we didn't do anything for the past 7 years?
I could go for some chips and queso right now. That making me very, very hungry. Jeff, sometimes you just got to laugh at stuff. And I got to tell you, I don't know what it is about this particular community. I'm talking the crypto community at large. When I see some funny stuff out there, so this is us riding high. This is the crypto community. Look at this meme right here. April 23rd. It's like April 23rd. It's like, yeah, riding high, right? Here's May 23rd. It's just fantastic. It's like, yeah, everything's smooth. It's just, I just love that,
That's
man.
funny. Well, it's
That's
kind of like, in the crypto space, man. It's like being on a roller coaster. When you're going up and you got all the excitement and the anticipation, and you're going up, going up, going up, and you finally get to the top, and there's that kind of like relaxed feeling, and you're on top of the world. That's kind of how you feel with that ride with the grip. And then the other side of it, when you're falling down in that free fall on the other side, and you're holding on to the side of your thing, and your hair's blown back.
You talked about Michael Saylor, right? So I love this guy, Fong Li. Look, this is a great statement. I love this dude right here. Look at this.
So funny.
Companies have an imperative to hold Bitcoin. He says, if you're not putting any of your corporate treasury into Bitcoin, I don't think you're doing your fiduciary responsibility. Now, Fong Li, he's the, I think he's the controller. He's the chief financial officer of MicroStrategy.
Right there. Yep.
Says corporate treasurers have an imperative to hold Bitcoin if they hail from the technology industry. So he's putting it like they're doubling down. This is a great statement. You have a fiduciary responsibility. Put some of your treasury in Bitcoin, right? Because if you're from the tech industry, it's fantastic. I mean, just a phenomenal statement, man, all the way around. There's some really clever people that are just, man, they're just making the space phenomenal with these kind of calls, and it's like double down, triple down.
Yep.
I don't even know where Saylor is at this point.
I don't know. But hey, check out Tom T viewing from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Great to have you with us. We got some XRP at budget Sunday.
Nice. Sunday, yeah, man. Hit 68 cents. No, was it down to 68 or 69 cents, something like that. But anyway, and by the way, I've been to Belfast, Northern Ireland. I really love Northern Ireland, man. It was kind of cool. Like, I took a bus up there, and it's like when you cross over to Northern Ireland, it's like a whole experience. You go like through the border thing, and all of a sudden my mobile phone switched over from one carrier to the next. Like it was almost like, what the hell just happened? But man, let me explain how they know how to party up there. And I got a cab ride to this party up there. And it was the first time this guy was talking to me, and I was like, yeah, he's like, oh, I was like, I don't even know what he was saying to me, man. I had really no clue. And I'm really got pretty good with dialects in the Irish accent, but he was just on fire, man. He was so happy and excited and laughing, and I was just put me in such a great mood. I don't know what he really said, but he probably said something really important, or like, maybe you're on fire or something. I don't know. It could be anything, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff at Consensus. Gary V was there today, and I don't think he was dropping F-bombs. I think he was kind of holding back a little bit. He's not fun unless he's dropping those F-bombs, Jeff. But
who was that?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yep.
Who was the keynote there. I saw a couple clips, and they just weren't traditional Gary V. Gary V is like, I don't know, man. When he's on a stage, and I got invited to this email conference in 2011, I want to say. And nobody knew who Gary V was. And I knew him because I used to watch him on Conan O'Brien when he used to go on there and talk about his wine and stuff. So I was like, the guy's like, hey, one of our partners, like, you want to go to an email convention? I'm like, Jeff, that's almost like asking somebody, do you want to go watch paint dry? We can watch red. We can watch white. It's like blue. You can watch paint dry. And I'm like, that sounds like the most boring thing. No, we're talking about strategies and this and that. He goes, Gary Vaynerchuk's the keynote. I go, I'm there. I'll be there. Yeah. And plus the second bonus round in South Beach. And like, yeah, we'll put you up in a hotel for 3 days on the beach. I was like, okay, this is getting better all the time. So I go there, and Gary V gets up on stage, and when he's up there, right around when he's ready to go on, I'm with a bunch of, we're all wearing suits, Jeff. It's just I'm with the crowd, and I'm like trying to crack some jokes. Everyone's like, email is the most significant thing ever. But their pipes and stuff, and I'm like cracking jokes. I said, okay, what's the over-under on Gary V dropping an F-bomb? Not at an email convention. These are very conservative people here. I'm like, okay, I'm taking under 30 seconds. He drops an F-bomb. Gary V gets up there and he's like, hey, so what's going on? And F, and F, and they're like this. Everyone in the audience was like this. They were like, they couldn't believe it. And I was like, damn, I almost felt like collecting all the money. Give me your money, give me your money, give me your money. So it ends. And Gary V goes off the stage, and he's like standing on the side of the stage. So I go up and start talking to him. I'm talking for 25 minutes. I'm like talking about Conan, talking about this, talking about that, taking pictures with him. And finally, one of the guys comes over, he just strolls over, and he's like, hello, Mr. Vaynerchuk. My name is Charlie Boring. You know, just the most, I don't know. I got off on a little bit of a tangent, but Gary Vee was like, I like him when you just set him on fire. He's like, he just gets on stage and starts cursing. And that's when I like to see the guy, man. That's when he's super fun.
So Norseman, what is up? He said, stay off live chat after cardio. Yep. Got in while listening to OTC. Get it in, people.
Get it in, people. Make
Get
it all
in.
happen. Make it all. Thank you for that, Norseman.
Got his cardio going. Hey, so check it out. So all the negative stuff, or I don't want to say negative, all the fuddy stuff, all the misinformation that is promoted by some of the politicians out there. They keep saying that crypto used for nefarious purposes and it's so bad and you can't do anything about it. It's untraceable. Well, 6 people connected to a $36 million crypto scam were arrested. Scheme operated from multiple locations in Europe. And guess what? They shut them down. 6 people, different European countries. Initial reports state that such a fraudulent scheme stole over 36 million. And, you know, kind of goes on and on all over the place too. Look, you know, where they were done, and they were in Poland, North Macedonia, Sweden. How great is that? They ran 4 professional-looking trading platforms, luring victims through ads on social media and search engines. So they think they're smart. They start collecting, and boom, that's it. It doesn't work that way. And then here's another. That's one feel-good story for the day. Another feel-good story for the day. And Chip, you and I talk about this. The most amazing thing about digital asset, blockchain, cryptocurrency is that it's impacting people across the globe. It's helping people develop, help people learn. I've never seen JP Morgan go into parts of Africa and teach them how to trade. When have you ever seen an initiative from Citibank or Amex or any of them? When have any of the big financial companies gone over to Africa and said, you know, we're going to have a program for youths over in Africa, and we want to teach you all the ins and outs of investing. And here you go, Binance Crypto Education Initiative. What did they do? It's a masterclass aimed at helping crypto newbies learn how to identify scams, buy and sell crypto, as well as the more advanced concepts such as margin, futures trading, as they get started on their crypto journey. So here you have untapped. I mean, all over the world is untapped, but I love seeing this opportunity in Africa, because Africa always got a bad rap over the years. And now these guys could make their own destiny in the blockchain crypto space, and they could be leaders, financial leaders, epicenters in the world. Forget about whatever else happened, previous, but this is like that opportunity that's just going to put them, on the map, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So Jeff, you're right. I mean, this stuff should be big news. It's really good stuff. I mean, this is what we should be doing. Like, instead of wasting people's time with all this FUD, they should actually be doing something worthwhile. So this weekend I was at a wedding, and I was, one of these outside sort of places. I'm with my, my daughter, my wife, and I'm sitting on a park bench. So it's just this, I'm sitting out on a park bench, and it's like, meanwhile, the bar's on the opposite side of and it's all like these stores. It's all girly stores, right? Here we are sitting out in the hot sun. And, it's like, the guy section where the girls are inside doing their shopping thing. The guys are sitting out there. So I'm sitting there, and I was like, during the hearing, I was like trying to get something on the SEC. And then I think I was texting you, and I don't know, we were talking or something about the SEC.
You were at the bar?
No, we wish we were at the bar. We weren't at the bar. There's no bar. The bar was actually on the opposite side. And the one guy goes, they really ought to put a bar here. I'm like, why don't they have a bar, just like a little kiosk where the guys can all hang out at? So I was saying something about the SEC, and I was like, hey, I was telling somebody, because one dude was live tweeting it, and I couldn't get in. I was talking to somebody on there, and I was saying something, and the guy sitting next to me, on this bench, he looks up. He goes, I'm sorry, man. I couldn't stop. I couldn't help it over here. You're looking at the SEC. He goes, I was actually looking for that. So what's going on? He's asking me, right? And I'm talking to him, and then he goes, and I started talking to him about that. He goes, hey, man. He goes, do you do this YouTube show or something? He goes, blockchain backer. I follow blockchain backer, and who'd you have on the other night? He's like, I was like, what? The craziest thing ever. It's like we start talking about the SEC. We're talking about the court case. I'm like, what's your YouTube handle? You know, like when you go in there, and he's like, it just was a fun little one of these sort of deals where you kind of like, you jump in there and you just don't realize that this is what plays into this other story here. I wanted to throw this up here real quick because this is another thing, kind of plays in what you were just talking about there, Jeff. And it's just like, so Andreessen Horowitz right here, managing partner Scott Kapoor blamed unclear guidelines for locking regular investors out of crypto's upside. And he's saying, he tells Congress that the SEC is disadvantages ordinary folks from token investing. He's totally called it right on. He said that, and this was in written testimony, he said the Securities and Exchange Commission has not provided clear regulatory guidelines for how tokens will be treated under existing regulatory rules. He said Kapoor, whose own venture capital firm bets hundreds of millions of dollars on blockchain projects, argued during oral testimony that unclear security guidelines have created a very significant disparity between the haves and the have-nots in the crypto capital markets. And Jeff, this plays into what you were talking about before, right? When you talk about ordinary people, we're not talking about accredited investors. We're not talking about, like I've been around and exposed. We're talking about regular people that are excited and interested about it. And a buddy of mine that contacts me and says, but the IRS is going to come after it. The government's trying to crush it. How is that helping people? And the SEC looking out for the investors, not looking out for the investor. And he makes an amazing, he lands an amazing point that we're locking out people that could totally change their lives. And I tell people all the time, like, you know, listen, put $20 a week, $20. If you put $20 in every single week and you start investing in some projects, look at Matic. At one point, it was under a penny. At its high, it was 240. And it doesn't take a lot before you can start. But guess what? Now we're, with all this stuff going on right now, we basically told those people, sit down. You don't have a seat at the table. The SEC will come after you and sue you. Sue your pants off.
You gotta love it. That's what they're the timing of everything is a little, you know, it's a little off, you know, in terms of what happened with GameStop.
A little, Jeff.
Yeah. I don't want to, we can go into that whole, you know, conversation, but you're right. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, first of all, you know, there's a point in time, you know, for the SEC to be there actively involved in making sure that there aren't, you know, companies taking advantage of the investor. And there's some very clear examples of companies that are taking advantage of investors. There's like on YouTube, there's very clear examples of scam YouTube handles that are constantly flooding the comments with all sorts of garbage. Right. It's very clear. It's very obvious. And why? Because even on the block stuff, you see those same on the block stuff, the stuff we put there, and then the stuff they put there. But it's easy. But it's the same thing with the SEC. It's very easy for them to go after the scammers. You know, they just don't do it. You know, it just, yeah, because then they got to work and they got to. So let's go after, you know, go after Ripple and then forget about everything else that's happening. But I still think there was a lot more to that anyways. You know, I believe there was a card played. We needed regulatory clarity. They threw it out there. They probably knew more or less what the outcome was going to be. And they forced the hand. They forced the hand of a government agency to provide precedent for regulatory clarity. To me, that's what it was all about. So people still want to, you know, throw, you know, Clayton under the bus. And I could be completely wrong about this, but all the variables of what's happening, like we said, you know, the case seems so weak in the beginning. We'll see what happens at the end, whether or not right or wrong. But it just wasn't, you know, it just didn't fit, you know, to say, hey, we want to shut them down. Now, as it unfolds, the SEC didn't know what to do with it, and they're tripping all over themselves, not prepared. But at the same time, it's like, that was it. Here you go. It's like you threw a hand grenade. You know, nothing was getting done. Throw the hand grenade in there and let's see what happens. Like, you know, if you're fishing, you know, back in the day, the Egyptians used to use dynamite for fishing. And you'd go down along, down in the Red Sea, and you could go down in that area. And regardless of the coral or whatever, they'd throw little bits of dynamite in because it would rupture the swim bladders of the fish and they all float to the surface. You know, so
Wow.
that's kind of like, here you go, hand grenade into the SC, you know, the SEC. Boom, here you go. Now you got to do it. You got to deal with it. You know, and Congress, you know, not doing their thing. And here you go. And now we're on course, at least towards regulatory clarity. And we'll see what happens, you know, because that's what we need. We need true regulatory clarity. So Jennifer saying it's not Canada Day, it's Victoria Day. Whatever day it is, it's Happy Something Day over in Canada. And they had the day off today. So, or at least some people had the day off, apparently. So that's it. You know, I'm just saying, here's Chip. Let Chip come back. Let's get Chip back in here. There he is. We got to bring you back in, and that's how it goes, Chip. That's how it goes. You know that we stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday. And if you're brand new to On the Chain, you guys can hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and when you hit the bell notifier, it'll actually show you. It'll actually let you know that we're posting a brand new a brand new video. I'm trying to read.
Sounds awesome.
I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. That doesn't come out so well. But the XRP says I want SEC wet wipes for bird crap on my vehicle.
That's actually not a bad merch idea right there. Put the SEC on there and you.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Clever, man. I like it a lot.
Did you hear it's Victoria Day, not Canada Day?
Whatever, man.
That's what someone said. I said it's Happy Day in Canada because people had the day off. So
Victoria's at the station in London. Yeah, I've been there too.
Copper Chip, don't ever fix your computer.
No, it's not my computer, man. It's not my computer. You guys don't understand that I live on here all day long, and every possible video thing I give these things. I do this in a professional role. I do it for 2 hours. This software right here, and these morons will not fix it after I brought them up the problem multiple times. They will not fix it. My computer is a screaming MacBook with a shit ton of RAM and everything else. But this software here, Junior, they got acquired, and all of a sudden it went to the dogs, and it turned into a pile of heaping garbage that I would put right next to the SEC. And
we're gonna get shut off here in a minute
with a fan. So there you go.
Hey, check this guy out.
Lily Marlin. Lily Marlin.
Yeah, and by the way, Jeff. Yeah, by the way, I'm sharing my screen. I'm playing videos all day long, and every other one, you name it, whether it's Google Meet, whether it's Zoom, you name them all, I'm on it. Go to meetings, all of them. Do not have the problem. Here, 1 hour.
How does mine work well? Number one. It's because I don't use Apple products.
Well, here's the other thing. It only works on Chrome. Chrome has sad leaks.
Zero.
Just for you guys, I'm not going to be here tomorrow because I got a family event to attend to.
Zero Apple products in the house.
Yeah, well, that's a shame.
Not one. Google's awesome, man. I was texting Google.
Yeah, they're really awesome because they really give a rat's behind about your privacy. I'm going to play one of these new Apple commercials tomorrow because they're brilliant.
So last night I was, I have my mesh in the house, and I'm on there, and I was telling him I'm having a problem with the Sonos speakers and my mesh because I can't get the mesh to segment out 2.4 gigahertz. It brings 5 and 2.4 at the same time and kind of pushes the devices to figure out what they want. I said, but I don't want both. I want to just segment a new network out, and you can't do it. So I'm on there. He goes, well, what network is yours? I said, well, here's the email address that I'm registered with. And he goes, He goes, oh, I see that you have 2 Wi-Fi spots going. I said, yeah, I used to have 3, and I was dealing with them earlier in the day. That one's broken, and we're going through the thing. And he goes, oh, I see that you made one of your Sonos speakers a static IP address. I'm like, what the?
Nice.
I was like,
Whoops.
can you through an email address? Email address. I just gave him my email address. They can see everything.
I'm an Apple guy.
See everything.
Of course they can, dude. As you've given it up to them. They're incredible losers. Anyway, that's all we have here for you guys tonight. We have a great guest. We're not going to be here. We have a great guest in Seb because we've been looking forward to this for weeks. But I have a family. We have a representative coming in from exciting project Helium, which Jeff and I are super excited about. Unfortunately, I can't be here, but I do have a lot of questions that will make its way onto the show, and hopefully you guys come here and check it out. It'd be awesome.
Definitely make sure you guys show up. I'm going to make sure we get the I'm going to make sure we get the link and everything up early tomorrow morning, so you guys will have plenty of time to stand in line to get tickets. No, but tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Helium. You guys will learn all about that. They're doing a ton in this space. So yeah, we are excited to see what those guys have to say. Bringing asset to the people. That's what they're doing.
That's right.
So with that, Chip, you're back on Wednesday.
Back on Wednesday, yep.
And we have a show Thursday, and the whole thing starts all over again.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to that. We'll check you guys out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then.
See you on the next one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.